Hello everybody, Sam here, engineer, MBA, an investor, and in today's video, I want to talk about Mammoth Biosciences. Of course, I'm making a prediction in this video, and I predict that they are going public in 2023. And of course, this prediction comes from our infamous user Biotech2K1 tweet yesterday, and they linked the Mammoth presentation on YouTube. Again, this is nothing new, but of course, I think it was the video itself was published back in April of this year, I believe, a couple of months ago. But of course, there were two comments that Biotech 2K1 made. They hired a CFO and mentioned IPO readiness. I think when the market recovers, we see this IPO. They also mentioned base adding version of mini CAS. So ignoring the last sentence here, CFO and IPO readiness. Of course, if you want to go IPO, you need to structure your leadership. I mean, it makes sense. You need your financials to make sense. As you file for IPO, you have to disclose your information and so on. And I believe it's the last 3 quarters and so on. So there's a lot of work there to be done. And of course, Mammoth Biosciences being a private company, they have to go through the whole gist in order to IPO at some point. Now, we all saw what happened with Prime Medicine. A couple of weeks ago, they filed for IPO. Right now, they're valued about $1.5 billion, which puts them ahead of most CRISPR companies, just behind CRISPR Therapeutics, Beam Therapeutics, and NTLA, around the valuation of Verve Therapeutics, which is quite mind-boggling for a technology that has yet to be proven. And of course, I'm talking about Prime Editors rather. But nonetheless, of course, Mammoth here is from the West, founded and really in the sphere of Jennifer Doudna. So, of course, East being Prime Medicine and West being Mammoth Biosciences. So, a lot of people have their focus on Mammoth. Of course, what I like about Mammoth is they're more than just genome editing, right? If you take a look at the website, they have, of course, the pandemic, everything related to that. They have diagnostics. And of course, therapeutics, which is genome editing. But diagnostics is something they've already gotten. Like if you see the press release from I think it was from last year actually, Mammoth Biosciences received FDA emergency use authorization for first CRISPR-based high throughput COVID-19 test, right? So clearly, they've been involved a lot more than genome editing. They have, I think the CEO is like 30 or 31 years old at this point. He's young, he's fierce, there's motivation, there's inspiration there. And I love that. And of course, they have business partnerships already established, such as Vertex, as you can see here, in Bayer. And if you take a look at the presentation back in the one I'm referencing to, we're just going to skip through and we're not going to play any of that. But I do want to show you a couple of highlights here for this company. So, of course, Trevor Martin being the CEO I just talked to you about. Other notable figures, Janice Chan, which actually is really well known in this space at this point. And, of course, Dr. Doudna. And of course, we take a look at their technologies, which again, I don't really want to spend too much time on this, but I do want to show you guys really briefly, of course, partnerships like you saw just about a year ago, actually. They established a partnership with Vertex and of course with Bayer earlier part of this year that we have also covered. And of course, CRISPR diagnostics tool that they're working on, which I've always wondered why CRISPR companies don't just branch out beyond just therapeutics. I think it's one thing to be narrow focus and just to focus on something like genome editing, specifically 1 or 2 programs. But it's another thing to leverage the same type of technology and enter out and branch out with different tools, right? And I think the more the merrier, right? I don't think anybody is gonna say that we don't need more diagnostics tools. I mean, the whole pandemic made me realize how we lack the ability to test individuals. I think it's quite embarrassing that it took so much time just to have a testing ability, and it's a lot more embarrassing to say that there's some pharmacies that are out of testing tools. In 2022, 2021, I guess, 2022, it's quite embarrassing to be at that point, considering the technology we have. Everybody has a phone. It's just, it's mind-boggling. And of course, what Mammoth is trying to achieve here is using CRISPR to leverage that, right? I think that's extremely novel, and I think there's quite a lot of things here to be said. And of course, this company is doing a lot more than just, whatever proprietary technology they have. They're going with in vivo, which is, again, something that is extremely lucrative right now in this space, considering the success from NTLA. So I really think this company is about to go public in the next year. I think with what's going on with Prime Medicine and the valuation they're getting in a recession, $1.5 billion. I think Mammoth's looking at that as like, well, let's reward our existing investors, let's reward our existing employees, and let's get the best talent out there, right? You get the best talent by rewarding them with stock shares. I mean, this is a well-known topic across the industry. It's one thing to work for a private company. It's another thing to work for a company that can reward you in shares, that can be extremely lucrative in the long term, especially if it's a technology company that is high pace growing in the future, and of course in the space where we know it's here to stay. CRISPR is here to stay. It's just a matter of which companies are here to stay. And to me, Mammoth Biosciences are checking off a lot of boxes. Their technology, the fact they're branching out to diagnostics, the fact they have an amazing leadership, a young, fierce leadership, and of course the fact that they're backed by the legendary Dr. Down. There's something to be said there that I think a lot of people should not take that for granted. So I'll end this video like this, guys. Again, I wanted to make this video on Mammoth, give a prediction of their IPO, talk a little bit about the company. Very excited. Like I said, this is one company I think a lot of people have their eyes on. Prime Medicine is another, but of course there's others like Sherlock, Harbor, but Mammoth I think is definitely a company here that we want to make sure we follow very closely. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Do like this video if you have value, subscribe if you're not, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a beautiful Sunday. Thank you.